A bizarre case against a bizarre woman just fell apart in a way that may not be strictly bizarre, but it was real unusual. The woman, of course, is this lady, Ashlee Buzzard, mother of the little girl behind her, Melody Buzzard, who has not been seen in 42 days now. The case was not tied directly to Melody's disappearance today, but instead to an alleged false imprisonment of a local paralegal who supposedly wanted to help Ashlee find that little girl, but encountered instead an intransigent and very strange Ashlee Buzzard. Ashlee and the paralegal were both in court today. He had claimed that Ashlee pulled a box cutter on him and wouldn't let him leave her house. It was a preliminary hearing in Santa Barbara County, but it won't be going any further than this today. And I'm going to get to that in a second, and I'll explain why the judge said no more. We're done. But once again, I should note, again in bizarre fashion, Ashlee Buzzard was dressed for the occasion today, showing up in court with an overwhelming amount of makeup and her long curly wig pulled back in a ponytail. She was also wearing very baggy pants, apparently meant to hide that pesky little ankle monitor that she had been forced to wear. This time we got an up-close and personal look at it. Despite the high-heeled shoes, the monitor is supposed to be under those baggy pants. The victim in this case, the alleged victim, Tyler Brewer, he had told police that this woman had refused to let him leave her home after Ashlee Buzzard had shared some distressing information about little Melody, the daughter. Information that apparently Ashlee wished she had not shared with him. He reported to police that Ashlee told him, quote, Melody was dropped off in Utah, and even named the person, apparently with whom the child had been left. Today, Tyler Brewer took the witness stand and said that he visited Ashlee 5 different times between the 1st and 6th of November. That is 5 visits in 5 days. Again, bizarre. But he said on his final visit, that's when things went sideways. Ashlee's demeanor changed, he said. She turned confrontational, he said, and combative. And he said he felt threatened. And then it was Ashlee's turn to testify, but she didn't, not really. Instead, her attorney played a recording that apparently Ashlee had made herself of the final 3 minutes of this whole confrontation in question. And the 3 minutes, anyway, did not exactly match what Tyler Brewer had claimed to the police. So I'm going to play this all for you. It's a little, convoluted, a little confusing, but I think you should be able to get the gist of it. Listen for yourself.
And I can't trust you when you're lying. You're flat out lying. You're a really good liar. Like, Tyler. Tyler.
I'm definitely not
Tyler,
trying to deceive.
Be quiet and listen, please. Look at me. Like, I'm an intelligent woman. I'm 40 years old. You deal with legal stuff. Like, who are you kidding? Tyler.
I can only give you my perspective.
Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
I understand.
You need a reality check. If this is on media news, like news talk shows, they're going to be seeing you, they're going to be interested in you. You have to understand that I'm aware, whether you want to admit it or not, you want the attention.
I don't want the attention.
There is absolutely no way in hell that you are not bipolar or have an extreme issue if you don't realize what you're doing is false advertisement. And there are real legal ramifications. I don't know how you honestly are not worried about being put in jail.
I would like to leave at this moment.
Since you're leaving in an uncomfortable way, I want the keys to my house
Yeah, they're right there.
and the storage.
Right there.
Nobody else has keys, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. No one else has keys.
Tyler, genuinely, if you've been here, genuinely to help, I appreciate it. The lies are a lot. And especially if you are genuine and trying to help in your own way, you should be very concerned if they recognize you, because anyone else, like running for district, it doesn't add up. I'm not threatening you, but I'm saying, like, I'm not threatening you at all. I'm trying to help as a friend because I feel like it has to be bipolar or something. But I don't think you're grasping the level of online things that don't make sense.
No, I understand where you're coming from, that at this moment I would like to leave. And I'm more than receptive if you want to call or text me.
How do I send you the money of the receipts?
I'm not concerned about any of that. But I'm still very receptive. Should you want to call me or text me, but I've done nothing intentionally to be deceitful.
I know that's a lot to process, and I know a lot of that doesn't make sense, but I will say this. There was something I heard in there several times. That guy said, "I would like to leave now." He also mentioned that she had produced a box cutter. That's the stuff you can't hear. So if she's holding a box cutter and he is repeatedly saying, "I would like to leave," it's interesting that the judge decided to throw out the case, because that's what the judge did when he heard this tape. He threw the case out. He said there was no probable cause to believe that Brewer was terrified or prevented from leaving by force. I'm not so sure I agree hearing that audio. To the contrary, the judge says we hear him leave. Yeah, okay, but if you got to ask several times, there's a box cutter in front of you, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So anyway, tonight, Ashleigh's free as a bird, and that ankle monitor we've been talking about, that's a thing of the past. And our Brian Enton is right outside the family's house in the town of Lompoc, California. Brian, first and foremost, great reporting, getting that audio, being in that courtroom today and seeing what transpired. First of all, let me just ask you, any movement at all, now that she's free without the ankle monitor, any movement outside that house? Have you seen Ashleighh since court?
Yeah, she's back at the house tonight, Ashleighh, and let me just walk up. I mean, it's dark again here tonight. There's been no activity since she returned from court. Really a free woman, no ankle monitor, no charges. I thought maybe there was a light on in the front window a little while ago, but I can't tell if it's just a reflection. But it's interesting, in court today, it came out that she actually prefers to stay at the back of the house. They talked about this during the testimony with Tyler because she's concerned about the house being bugged and people listening through the front of the house. So that makes sense why we've seen very, very little activity here at the front, Ashleighh.
Well, and also she mentioned in that audio recording, this is going to be on the news and the talk shows. So maybe she's aware that there's a lot of media interest and coverage. I remember you staking out the Laundries home in Florida, and I believe in Northport, Florida, they also spent most of their time in the back because it was hard to see any activity in the front of the house. Real quickly, there were photos in court of the inside of her home shown today. Can you talk about those?
Yes, and by the way, that audio recording, just remember, this is her recording. She made the recording herself with her phone. She decided to record these conversations with Tyler. So, you know, remember, it sort of seems like she's putting on a little bit of a show there because she knows she's the one doing the recording. In terms of these other photos that came out, they had photos of the door and of the locks. There are 4 locks on the door that Tyler says she locked to keep him inside. There's also a photo of the box cutter on the ground. But it's interesting, Ashleighh, I sat through the whole hearing, and it was long. It was like 3 or 4 hours. And he could never say for sure that she actually picked up the box cutter. And many of the things he said were, I felt like she was holding me in the house and wouldn't let me out. She stood in front of me, but then I was able to get out. So I have to say, at the end of the hearing, I was not surprised that the judge threw out the false imprisonment charge. In fact, I kind of expected it by the end. There just wasn't a lot of solid evidence that he wasn't able to actually leave.
It's weird. I heard him say, I'd like to leave now. I'd like to leave now. To me, that's not the kind of thing you say. You just, if you're able to, you just say, I'm out of here. Bye-bye. You know, it was interesting, but it's different perspective. I do want to ask you about the story I keep hearing that Tyler was somehow working with the police. Is this true? Is this why we were hearing on the recording that you're deceitful, you're lying? I was trying to make out what that was all about.
Yeah, and it was a very confusing hearing on that front, Ashlee, because at the very beginning, the judge made clear to everyone involved that they could not discuss anything related to the disappearance of Melody or the investigation into the disappearance of Melody. And you can just imagine, I mean, a lot of this had to do with that. That's the whole reason it seems Tyler was at the house and was befriending Ashlee and was trying to get information out of her. So every time questions would come out about, like, well, were you at the house? There was a police officer outside while you were inside the house, but they would say, no, you can't go down that road. And he would remind them too, am I allowed to answer this? And they would say no. So we never got a clear picture of whether he was actually working with the police, but it did come out that the minute he left the house and was able to leave, he texted the detective right away. He knew the detective's number, and it came out that the detective was already outside the house doing surveillance on the house while he was inside.
Speaking of that, is there anybody out there right now, like you're facing away from the house and presumably you're facing across the street, are there detectives or any sort of ghost cars waiting and just watching her movements? Because we're still missing a little 9-year-old girl.
Yes, and I don't want to give too much detail, obviously, on that, but there's clearly still an investigation going on. The FBI is involved, and it seems quiet out here tonight, but there are indications that she is still being watched in some regard. And even the neighbors are coming out. I mean, people are so upset with this woman that she won't come out, that she won't talk. And that Melody is still missing. And people are, I mean, I think there was a sense of comfort that she had the ankle monitor on. For whatever reason, people felt like, okay, they're kind of monitoring her. Now that the charge is thrown out and the ankle monitor is gone, there's definitely some concern.
Yeah, we said earlier it was a sideshow because the big show is, where is this child? For God's sake, what are they doing to find the child or hold her accountable for a child who is clearly not in that house and nowhere that we know? To that end, the child's paternal grandmother, I think it's grandmother Lily, you spoke with her. What did she have to say about everything that happened today and everything that's happening with her granddaughter?
Yeah, grandmother Lily is very feisty. That is Melody's grandma on the father's side, and she attends many of these hearings, and she is just frustrated. She keeps saying, why can no one get the information out of this woman about where Melody is? Why can't they just force her to say? Unfortunately, they just can't. That's not how it works. But she sits in the hearings. She was sitting right near us. She just watches Ashlee the whole time. I talked to her right when the hearing ended. This is what she said.
My son passed away in a motorcycle accident when Ashlee was 6 months, so I really didn't know her that much. But she was a good lady, I mean, real quiet.
Did she wear the wigs back then?
No, she had beautiful long hair, never wigs. Now she's wearing a lot of wigs. I don't know what that came from.
What about the makeup?
Never wore that kind of makeup before. She had, I don't know, kind of like more than usual that she ever wore.
What do you make of the wigs and makeup? Like, I mean, since you knew her back then.
I don't know if she's trying to change her personality or I don't know.
And with Grandma Lily, Ashlee, I could see her sort of leaning in and listening when they played that full recording. It was interesting because this woman, the mom who's held up in the house, you know, we never hear her voice. And then all of a sudden, she has this sort of assertive voice and was sort of like angry with Tyler. And you could tell Grandma Lily was really, really interested in that.
So was I. I mean, I just perked up right away hearing her voice for the first time. It wasn't what I expected.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.